Welcome to the podcast, From Dentist to De Novo. Today, I've got the one and only, if you will. Sometimes I joke with him and call him the man, the myth, the legend, but Dr. Devin Harris, also known as the Plaque Panther. It is trademarked, correct? It is certified as 100% you.
Don't try to steal my stuff and y'all out there.
Yeah, no kidding, right? They'll come after you. And I do remember early on, to be candid, when you told me the name, I was like, it's a way cool name. But are you worried at all that it doesn't land? Are you worried at all that people are like, what was that? It's too kitschy or too cliche. And you're like, nope, I'm good. I got it. Trust me on this. And I knew then that you were going to do really well. Because anytime I talk to a startup doctor, if there's doubt or hesitation or lack of confidence, it doesn't mean that they're not going to do well, but it does mean that they have to get that confidence along the way. And you came to the table with it right out of the gate. So kudos to you for that. Not that you needed to hear that from me. You've been confident guy from day one. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Looking back, let's think about the first year. If you had to describe the first year in one word, what word would you use and why?
Man, honestly, I'll call it a roller coaster.
Okay, fair enough.
There's so many ups and downs, so much uncertainty. Right when things are getting steady, then there's a steep drop somewhere, kind of takes your breath away. But overall, it's been a rewarding, challenging experience, probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But I'm grateful that I did it. I'm grateful that I worked with you to get started and everything. There were some times where I kind of, sat at the edge of the bed and I was just like, man, what did I get myself into, But I just kept the faith, just kept showing up every day, kept giving it my all. And things are going really well now. We're excited to where we're going to be. Like, we're nowhere near our full potential. So we're really just getting started. So I'm excited to see how things play out in the future.
So let's talk about that part. Let's dive into that. You are 3 operatories right now, or are you on 4?
3. We're about to get the 4th one built
That's
out like mid-January.
Okay, so 3, but you're already pushing into 4, and you're technically above $1 million, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. So if we flash forward to today, you're just over a year in, you're collecting over $1 million. What does that feel like?
It's kind of unreal, when you start this, you have no idea like how you're going to do, who's going to show up and everything like that. So it's just a lot of uncertainty. But I would say the main thing I would just say is I feel gratitude. And just gaining the confidence and knowing that, yes, I'm capable of doing this, and not only just doing it, but doing it at a high level. So I'm just thankful for how everything played out.
Was there a point where you realized, because you had talked about being on the edge of the bed, hands on your face, if you will, or kind of whatever you do when you're stressed out, and your wife's a hygienist, your wife was super supportive from Jump Street, at least in all the conversations I was on, maybe behind the scenes, she was like, Devin, what'd you do? You also had the stresses of a new little one coming into your life, which is a whole nother ball game, as you have seen firsthand. And it's funny because I find a lot of similarities between parenting and doing a startup and practice ownership.
For sure.
Roller coaster.
For sure.
Highs, lows, highs, lows. Love them 1 minute, and the next minute they're waking you up at 2 a.m. telling you, they have a stuffy nose, or maybe they had an accident in the bed, or who knows. And you're like, what are you doing in my bedroom right now? Please leave. Please leave. And so, with that being said, though, was there a point where you realized, okay, this is really going well? This is really taking off. Like, everything's coming together. Do you remember when that was?
It was probably in like March.
Okay.
Where we had started having, 6-figure months. So that's when I was just like, all right, we're rolling. Like, this is coming together. Because, the first part of the year, because we opened in July of 24, and like the first few months were a little rocky. Had no idea what we were doing. We were just basically flying by the seat of our pants. We ended up, as you know, we got rid of one of our treatment coordinators pretty early on. And so that was right around Thanksgiving, and my wife was like about to bust during that time, and she had our little one Christmas Eve of last year. And so that was in the middle of all the chaos and everything, dealing with, short months and things like that, trying to make sure that we're able to, get enough revenue to keep everything, stable. But, I'm a firm believer in, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. So me and my wife, we just really sunk our toes into the ground and just went head first through that wall and said, we're going to get through this. We got to make this happen. Because if I got to go back and work corporate dentistry, I might go to jail.
So this turned into I've heard a couple methods before. I've heard a method called the burn the boats method. I don't know if that's real, but talks about like back in the day, you're going to go come conquer an island. You're going to burn the boat so that you tell the guys, hey, there's no going back. This is home.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at now. And you know, kind of give them all the motivation possible that there is no retreat. Yep. I've also heard there's the, you know, both feet in method. You know, there's the, I'm from the Midwest, so we would have said come hell or high water method. But, you know, you were all in. And I think at some point, if I'm walking the listener or the viewer through the reality of the situation, when I say the burn the boats method or the both feet in method or whatever, you went in and said, hey, corporate gig is done. I'm leaving that thing. We're going all in here. We're going full tilt, 4 or 5 days a week, whatever we can do. We're going to be there all the time. My wife's going to be the hygienist all the time. And it was a surprise to me. And to be honest with you, I was like, I don't know if that's the right thing, Doc. And you know, you because you had called and said, hey, we're doing good, but we want to be doing better, and the cash flow isn't where we thought it would be. And I'm like, well, wait, how does that work? Let's talk about where the money's coming from, what your revenue looks like. And then, you know, I said something about, well, you know, your associate income and your wife's working, and you're like, nope, we're all in here. I'm like, that's the thing. And that's why, I mean, you were stressed out, and I was like, oh, you went all in. So we're full tilt. Yeah. So now that you look at that, what do you think were the top 2 or 3 decisions that had you reach success early on, or that helped you spur your growth, or that helped you get to where you are today?
I would say making the decision to not work while getting everything, because like everything I've read, everything I've heard, everybody always says you need to associate for a year, 2 years, and everything like that. But I didn't feel like if I was doing that I'd be able to fully pour into this office and the practice and everything, and just, you know, trying to create my vision. So I know it was crazy. I'm kind of a against the grain kind of guy. I just kind
bit
of
of a gambler. A bit of a gambler.
Yeah, a little bit. So we took a risk. My wife, you know, she's an angel. She took the risk as well. She believed in me. She believed in the vision. I believed in her. We believed in each other. We were both going into this as the first time. It was my first time being an owner. It was her first time being an office manager. It was our first time dealing with insurance, all of the, you know, nuts and bolts of the business of running an office. It was all our first time. So we just kind of just said, like, this has to work. You know what I mean? So we did everything we could, try to educate ourselves as quickly and efficiently as we could. And, you know, at this stage, like, we still don't know everything, but I feel like each day we're learning more and more that gets us more successful. That would be, you know, one important decision.
That's a big one. Yeah.
And then I would say, honestly, I would say like the decisions with hiring staff.
Let's dive into that.
Because as you know, that can make or break you. And for me, I was never one to just like harp on skill set and experience. Like, I want people that have good moral character, people I don't have to worry about stealing or cutting corners or doing things improperly and things like that.
Lying. And
you had a lying
situation.
We had dealt with some lying. And you know, I'm a principles guy. So if I feel like you're being dishonest with me, or if you're disrespecting me, then the nice, cool, calm guy you see right here kind of goes away. You know what I mean? So I really stand on that. And so I made sure that everybody, you know, was, you know, committed to the vision, and then just kind of shared the same values as far as like doing things the right way, treating people well, you know, showing up, giving it 110%. Like, that's what I look for. You know what I mean? Because I mean, because we just got a second assistant at the end of October, and I was kind of back and forth with, do I want somebody that's a seasoned veteran, or do I want somebody that I can mold? And I found, you know, some of each. And I, you know, got lucky. I found a new grad who she just had all the qualities, you know what I mean? Wow. Good demeanor, good, bilingual, fast learner, eager, excited about learning. And we took a chance on her, and she's been doing really, really well. And she meshes with the team. And for me, the most important thing is making sure the office vibe is right, making sure that I'm paying attention to the different personalities. Because what people don't realize is that, you know, being an owner is like, there's a huge psychological component. Like, you can't talk to everybody the same way. You can't handle everybody the same way. So I really try to take my time to be like, all right, what makes this person tick? Like, you know, how can I reach them? How can I communicate effectively with them? So that would be the second most important decision, I would say.
I'm going to give you, especially I think I'm doing this for the people watching or listening, I think there's two other things there that you don't give yourself enough credit for. One of those is you're not afraid to take risks. And doing a startup or buying a practice, there's a risk component with it. But in that same token, you do this thing where you're able to take a risk, but you have certain, we'll call them standards. You had said kind of some moral high ground stuff or some foundational stuff that you're just not willing to put up with. But you've got some things of going, hey, I'm willing to take a risk, and there's some non-negotiables, right? And so you have this ability where taking a risk is taking a risk, but some people do it with like, oh yeah, great, let's just go throw caution to the wind. You're taking a risk, but you're not throwing caution to the wind. You're taking a risk and then saying, hey, and these things have to stay the same. These foundational, whatever that might be, these have to stay. The main thing has to stay the main thing, even though I'm taking the risk, which I think is really important. Right. That's something you're really good at. And then I also think that that leads into the second part, which is you're capable to make a quick decision and appreciate that, hey, if it's the wrong one, then great. I'll learn from that and pivot towards the right direction.
Yep.
Now, and not that you needed to hear that, but that's something that I saw in you and then I continue to see that I think makes you really, really good at this CEO part, because when you're an associate doctor, you don't have to take risks at all. In fact, you're probably told and inclined not to take a lot of risks because it's not your place. You're worried about malpractice. You're worried about liability. You're all those things. And quite frankly, to lead into the second part, you can't make a lot of decisions, even if you wanted to. Yeah, you're not. You can't really decide, anything. Say, hey,
you can't even get the handpiece that you want.
Right. So you get told what the decisions are. And so I think that that's something that, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because that wasn't a skill set that you learned, and most doctors don't learn it. You either have it or you don't. I think you can learn it, but you came to the table with that stuff already, which I think is one of the kind of intangibles to the growth. Because, I can't stand it when you're listening to a podcast or you're hearing somebody and they're like, oh, I get up at 5 a.m. and that's the secret to success. No, it's not, dude. Not everybody gets up at 5 a.m. is very successful.
No,
there's some of those things that you come to the table with that either you build that skill and build that muscle and go learn it, if you will, or you come to the table with it and then you just get better at it. You're a football guy. You met some guys that you're like, man, that guy's got a lot of skill right out of the gate. Could be the best player ever, but do they have the drive? Do they have the determination, the discipline, all those things? And a lot of those dudes wash out. And you got other guys that maybe weren't the best, weren't whatever, but they worked hard. They showed up every day and they got better and they got better and they got better. And so you have, and then those guys are in the league. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
So I think that's important for anybody paying attention here on like, hey, well, what else is it? Some of those things you have to get really good at, even if you're afraid to take risks all your life, you're probably not going to be very good at this. You may get to a certain level, but you may not get beyond, or it may take you longer to see the kind of results that you saw. So there's that.
Man, because it was definitely a risk. When we first started talking about this, like it really didn't make any sense at all for me to, if you were to look at it logically and financially and everything like that, it made no sense for me to even be thinking about this. But I felt it in my spirit that this is what I was supposed to do. And everything just kept lining up on my path to kind of facilitate that. So those little moments where I feel like, all right, God, I see you. That's what kept me going. You know what I mean? Because, there's a lot of things to doubt and everything. And when it comes to, making quick decisions, I've kind of been like that most of my life. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But, I've always had the mentality like, what's the worst thing that could happen is somebody will say no. You know what I mean? And, I dealt with that, dealing with the banks and everything. Like I got a couple no's before I got that final yes, and you know how tough that was. So, there was a lot of reasons to just say, hey, let's pack it up and let's regroup and do this in a year or two or whatever. But I'm like, when I get my mindset on something, like nothing's gonna stop me. So I just kind of carried that into this process. And I do think like being a former athlete and things like that really helps because like I got that dog in me, you know what I mean?
And there's setbacks through that. You dealt with setbacks there and it's like, are you going to overcome it or are you going to hang it up? And no, absolutely.
And also, and before I even started this process, I was recovering from, a spinal fusion. And, after coming out of that, I kind of felt like I was capable of doing anything, you know what I mean? And so that just motivated me to just keep going, no matter how, dark and scary it seemed. I just kept my head down and just keep running through wall after wall.
I love that. I'm going to probably clip that and share that more often.
Go ahead.
Let's talk marketing for a second because you've learned a lot over the year. I think everybody does. What were the things, if we really get down to it, what were the things that moved the needle the most for you?
As far as marketing goes, the most impactful thing that I've noticed is the word of mouth referrals.
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that every patient comes in, we wow the hell out of them to where they want to tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ask for reviews, and I tell my team not to ask for reviews. I say we want to make their experience so special that they feel the need to go on Google, go on Yelp, go tell
That's
their
great.
friends. We have a lot of people that bring in coworkers, kids, spouses, everything like that. And I'm also fortunate to be, working in, close to my hometown, so I kind of have home field advantage there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, my social media presence helped out a lot. I had a lot of patients that said that they were following the journey from day one. When I
Mm-hmm.
made that first post announcing
Mm-hmm.
and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and so I feel like the community's behind me. And that's really comforting because I know like a lot of people deal with opening up in a foreign area that they don't know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be scary. So that's one thing that I didn't have to worry about. And then even getting started, I started off paying a few $1,000s a
Mm-hmm.
month for marketing, and I just wasn't really seeing the return on it. And so as I scaled back. Like I spend
Oh yeah.
like probably less than $600 a month on marketing. You know what I mean? But I'm active in the community. I go to events. I got cards on me all the time. If I see anybody in public and we talk longer than 30 seconds, you get in the card. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so I do a lot of footwork. I went out in the city around me and my assistant. We just run around passing out pamphlets, memberships,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cards, just letting everybody know, hey, we're here. I'm a local guy. We're not corporate. We're gonna take good care of you.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the things that were really helpful because when you get into all the Google ads and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, like I feel like some of those waters get muddied a little bit, and I wasn't really seeing the return, so I was just like, I'm not gonna keep wasting my money on it when I have something that's tried and true.
And I think that is a big trade-off because you can be excited to open a practice, be excited to be your own boss, do all that stuff, but it's still very, very scary to put yourself out there. It's funny because a lot of times if you read any of these stats that come out, they say, hey, the number one fear from the average human on the planet, or maybe it's the average American, if you will, is to be in front of the room and do public speaking. And so the joke that is made is if you were to be giving a eulogy at a funeral, you're more afraid to be up there giving the eulogy than you are to be in the casket because the number one fear wouldn't be death or what have you, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because marketing is putting yourself out there in today's world,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
in dentistry where you are the product. And so you
Mhm.
cannot be afraid to put yourself out there. I mean, you can be, but you better get over it. Or you better find a way to get over it. So if it's not going to be you, then do you have a really great person on your team that's going to be the marketing person? Do you have a really great strategy? Do you have some super awesome commercial that you came up with that we can play on, every channel possible, the Instagrams and whatever's. And if you don't, and most doctors aren't out there writing commercials or writing jingles or anything like that, and the brands aren't Subway or Starbucks or whatever, awareness wise, then you better be prepared to put yourself out there. And if you're not,
Oh, yeah.
you are going to have to subscribe to spending money on Google ads and Yelps and reviews and all that stuff. And I remember early on you were like, that's not working. It's not working the way I want. I'm going to do something different. And again, it goes into that, hey, I made a decision, we're going to do this, I'm not getting the return I want, I'm going to pivot. And your social media has always done well. The name obviously helps it stand out from the crowd right away. But it really just comes down to you're not afraid to put yourself out there. What's the worst thing you're going to do? Say no or not
Right.
click like on your post. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the part about carrying the business cards on you and having a chat with somebody with, hey, you should stop by sometime. Hey, my practice is down the street from this place, blah, 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 has to go a really long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And a lot of times too, like if I, know a certain employer in the area, has this type of insurance, I have a patient that comes in, I'll give them a stack and say, hey, throw these around in the
Smart.
break room and get people to come in.
Yeah.
That helps out a lot.
Those are in the break
And
room.
then on a social media tip, one thing that I did that's against the grain is like my main page. I just converted my personal page from like when I was like freshman, sophomore in college. And a lot of people will tell you don't do that because people are going to judge you. People are going to think this and that, whatever. But I don't care about that. Like there's so many dentists around. Like you're not going to be for everybody, and there are going to be some people that rock with you. And so my mentality was like I wanted to be myself, who I am, and what you see is what you get. I'm not, pretending to be this or that, not trying to, talk certain way or anything like that, because I feel like not only can your staff pick up on that, but patients can pick up on that. They're like, all right, this guy's kind of being robotic with me. I don't think I can trust him. He's asking for $5,000, and I know he doesn't talk like that. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of the feedback that I get back from patients is that they appreciate how real we are, how welcoming we are, how relaxing the environment is. Because we're just trying to change the game because nobody likes going to the dentist. Hell, I don't even like getting dental work, you know what I mean? But we just try to create such a cool experience with the, the good music, good, TV, all that stuff, all the amenities that we have, like heated blankets, steam towels for the face. Even those little facial steamers, when you get at the spa, we got those too, man. Pillows, all that stuff. So we just want to create like a very, very personalized experience. Like you walk in, your name's going to be on there. There's a comfort menu. Shout out to you for putting me on that.
You got it.
And it's like a lot of people have told me too, like, it was like, this didn't feel like a dental office. This didn't feel like I was going to the dentist. And I was like, that's the point. That's what I'm trying to create. Because nobody likes the dentist vibe. You know what I mean? And I kind of, go ahead.
Please continue.
Oh no, and I kind of joke because everybody talks about having white coat syndrome, this and that. So I went and got a custom black coat made. So I was like, you can't have white coat syndrome here,
So, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great. Where do you find it had to be custom from some one-off place? Because I've never seen anything but a white coat.
So what I did was I went on Amazon and just typed in black lab coat, and then I took it to a local T-shirt place and had them print the logo on the back, and then got my name embroidered on the front. That's great. So it was just a random thought, and I was like, listen, so let's do it.
You're gonna send me a photo of that. That's cool.
I got you.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I will say, one of my questions is gonna be, hey, what advice would you give to somebody in the marketing arena who's maybe afraid to spend money or afraid to do it? But I think you just did. It was be yourself. It was think outside the box. It was make this the experience for the patient the opposite of what they think like going to the dentist is. I will say this though, to be on the record for a second, I find it a bit of a challenge, a bit more uphill than most doctors realize. And I think most people in the industry are willing to honestly admit that trying to tell the world that your office is like going to the spa is not working. And I'm not saying that it can't work. And I'm not saying that you can't deliver that. But I think that at the end of the day, when they see whatever it is, Plaque Panther dentistry, I was going to say such and such dentistry or anything like that. When they see dentists, they go, oh, well, the human brain is really, really good at going, I know what that's like. That's just like old Dr. Miller's practice, 2 doors down from him. And I was going to see him before. So this guy's got a cool name, but at the end of the day, it's a dentist. And they won't know what it's like until they have an experience with your office. And I guess I'm saying that I'm not anti anybody saying that my place is like a spa or anything like that, but you better deliver on the experience. And patients better go, ooh, this really was not like going to the dentist. If you're not getting that kind of feedback, you're not hitting the mark. And just telling people it's like the spa and telling people it's like the spa and it's this and that and the other, they don't believe you. And I don't blame them because they've never experienced a dentist like that before. The only experience they have, the catalog reference they have is go into the office and it's going to be the same stodgy nonsense and the forms and this and the that. And the doc's going to come out in the white coat and sit there and tell me I need $5,000 worth of care. And I'm not interested in that. And so you better have something different. You can't just tell people that you're different. I think a lot of doctors out there saying that they're different, and then guess what? When you walk in that place, is the same. It's the same stuff. It's the same deal. It's the same vibe. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, you do need dental chairs, and you need delivery systems, and you need hand pieces, and we're still doing medical care here. But you better. I think that the number one metric is: are you getting that kind of feedback? This wasn't like going to the dentist, or this was different, or this was great, or I can't wait to tell my friends and family. If you're not hearing that enough, you're not getting the job done. Or you are, but to the degree that you're just like everybody else. And the next time there's a $59 new patient special or somebody else new down the road, they'll just take their business right on down the way. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I was going to ask you, hey, what would your advice be for that doctor who's nervous about marketing? But like I said, you summarized it pretty well. Do you got anything else before we...
I mean, the other advice I would say is like, don't get so caught up on what you think people are going to think about you.
I love that.
You know what I mean? You can't, most of the people that criticize aren't capable of doing what you're doing or haven't done what you're doing or will never do what you're doing. So you got to learn how to tune that out. You got to tune out that fear. You just got to kind of jump out there and keep putting one foot in front of the other and just kind of trust the process. Like if this is what's meant to happen for you, if this is God's plan for you, then just trust it and just keep showing up every day and everything will work out.
So you said something there about don't really worry about what everybody thinks about you. And you also talked about merging your personal Instagram page in to your,
Mm-hmm.
your current page or your business page, your practice page. There was a really cool thing I heard years ago from a book called Everything is Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And in that book, there's a concept, or really just a simple acronym. The author says it's the ETLID theory, which is ETLID is everyone thinks like I do. And that's not true. And so if you go
Right.
about your marketing thinking, oh, well, people only want to see me in a white lab coat, or would never think the name Plaque Panther is cool or professional enough or whatever. If you think that and you think that that's what everybody else thinks, that's kind of the kiss of death,
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that marketing is still the reason why I can't give you like the script or the brochure or the perfect Google ad or Instagram ad is because there's still some experimentation in marketing. There's still a little bit of, in any pocket USA, you're going to go, oh, well, this worked over here really well, but I'll be damned, it didn't work over here. It just didn't hit,
Yep.
and the Black Panther and all that works really well where you are. Maybe in Seattle, they're like, oh, that's weird. I don't like it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like early on when I was trying to decide the name on it, like I reached out to a trusted mentor and said, hey, I'm gonna name it this. And he was like, don't do that. Like you're gonna scare off certain people and all this other kind of stuff. And I was like, I hear you, but like I believe in this deeply. You know what I mean? And what actually happened is everybody loves the name. People drive by and say, "Oh, I love a good pun. I love a good play on words." I was like, "This guy has a sense of humor. Let me see what he's about." You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's the people you least expect are the main ones that are like, "I love the name. Like it's awesome." You know what I mean? So that's another thing. Like, listen to people at the same time. But if you feel it like in your gut that that's the right move, like you got to make it. Because at the end of the day, sometimes people will project their own fears onto you, and you just got to learn how to kind of tune that out.
That everyone thinks like I do theory, man. I don't think that's a cool name. I'd never name my practice that. Good, it ain't your practice. So that brings me to a good point though. Then, what was the hardest part of the first year that no one really warned you about, told you about, prepared you for?
Dealing with insurance companies, man, I cannot stand dealing with insurance. Like it makes my stomach drop every month, and I look at all the write-offs and adjustments, and I'm just like, these people out here robbing me blind. And then they got the nerve to send me an overpayment letter and say I got to send that money back. Like it's like
At least now everybody knows this is a real podcast. This is genuine. This is there's no punches are being held back here. That's the real.
Oh, like I hate insurance, and I'm like, I can't wait for the day to be out of network fee for service. But I understand, like, you got to kind of play the game, cut the grass. You know what I mean? So I'm not letting that shake me too much. But it is very frustrating because you work so hard, and you set your price, and then they like, I think it's worth about half of that, and then we're gonna actually pay you like a quarter of that. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, I'm like, man, you're disrespecting what I got going here. You know what I mean? But it's just a part of the game. And it's funny because my wife does all the talking to the insurance companies because she's a little bit more even keeled than I am. Especially like with me, like if it comes to money and stuff like that, and if I feel cheated, like
it's a
I'm
problem.
gonna pop off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Insurance company
it's
or not.
probably good. It's probably good that she's been having all the conversations because we probably would have been, kicked out as providers from a couple companies by now.
Oh, well, okay. So then what mistakes happened in the first year that actually became learning moments for you?
I would say one thing that I did was I spent a little bit too much on certain types of equipment that probably could have waited.
Okay.
Because you'll think about like, oh, I'll probably need this, I'll probably need that, but then in reality you really don't, and so you just have like thousands of dollars of equipment just collecting dust sometimes.
Are we talking hand pieces? Are we talking nomads?
Everything.
Are we talking? Okay.
Yeah, everything. There's some things that I spent more than I should have, and the reason why I did that is because I believe that we were going to continue to progress to where it won't be an issue for us, But I could have been a little bit more conservative early on. I also think I went a little bit crazy on CE early on too.
Yes, I remember this.
Because I was like really just trying to expand my playbook and be able to do more and more, but that stuff adds up. And I turn back and look, and I'm like, man, I spent $20,000 on CE, and like my wife told me, she's like, you're not doing another CE until the new year. Like I don't want to see you going any more courses. So just kind of being conservative about the course load that I take on, because like I love learning. Like I love going to CE courses, especially it's a nice trip, nice location, good food, things like that. It's a whole experience. So I get excited about stuff like that. So that's one thing, is just kind of cut back on those expenses early on. Trying to think if there are any other mistakes.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
And you heard CEs or a tax write off, and you just started going, "Hey, we're gonna write
Yeah.
this off. Let's go."
Yeah, and that's one thing that's new to me is all these, tax loopholes and games and everything like that. And I'm like, this stuff is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I can use a room in my house as a tax benefit. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, oh.
You all of a
So
sudden you
I'm
got your
still
kids
learning
on the
that.
payroll and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, another piece of advice is I would say is to, when you're picking out CPAs, is to get like a dental specific CPA.
mm-hmm,
Because the one that I found, they're like a whole firm, like a big
mm-hmm,
team, and they're
mm-hmm,
just focused on dentistry and that's it.
mm-hmm.
So like they understand all the ins and outs of the business and everything like that. You're not really having to translate, what's going on. And I think that that's been really helpful. They send me
Okay.
documents on how I can leverage tax benefits and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
this is all new to me, so I'm grateful for having the right team around me. And that's really the reason why I feel like we're successful is that I got the right people around me, from you to my family, my friends, my staff, everybody around me has been pouring into this. And that's what I'm thankful for.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody else, family, friends, hopefully they get to hear this too. Let's go
Mhm.
into that for a second. What decisions do you think would have gone very, very differently if you were just left to make them on your own?
Man,
All of
where do
them.
I
All
start?
of them.
Yeah, pretty much all of them, man. Because I like what I liked about working with you is like you would allow me to just kind of pour out what's in my heart and in my
Mm-hmm,
mind,
mm-hmm,
and then you'll say, "All right, that sounds good. That's cool. But think about this, or this may not work now. I'm not saying no forever, but like maybe not right now, or here's a different way." You know what I mean?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that was really impactful. Because like, you get excited, you get the loan money and all that, the TI allowance, you see all that money, and you're just like,
Yep, yep, yep.
like I'm about to I'm about to ball out. But what I've learned is that you gotta try to save everything you got, because you can't really call the future. Things happen, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
Like with our childbirth, we had to spend some time in the NICU after she was
mm-hmm,
born and
mm-hmm.
things like that. My wife, and it was crazy. Like she's like everything, because we had our youngest on Christmas Eve, and that was a Sunday.
Mm-hmm,
Or no. Sometime it was over the weekend or whatever.
mm-hmm,
And then she was at work that same Monday. I told her, I was like, hey, take some time. I'll
mm-hmm.
hold it down. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm not leaving you alone. We're in this together. And like, I'll turn my camera around, but you can see in one of the rooms, we have like air mattresses, adult bed, things like that. And she was in here with our newborn, feeding, napping,
Wow.
with the headset on, still answering phones, with the
Wow.
laptop, still doing things. And like, I'll forever be grateful for her for that, because
Mm,
like that's unheard of. And
really
that
is.
just showed me how much she's locked in. And that's what it's all about, is making sure everybody on the team is locked in. When I hire staff, I tell them, like, if you're just looking for a job to pay the bills, just because it's close, then this ain't the place for you. I want people that are locked in, have a sense of ownership here, are proud of where they work, and see themselves being here long term. Like, I want people that are career minded, not job minded. Because if you want to just have a job, go to Castle Dental, and you can get benefits and probably a little bit more when I could pay you.
Yeah, yeah. No, fair, fair. Well, let's not let the Department of Labor know how hard your wife worked, because they'd probably come after you for some back pay and some wages.
And what's crazy is every patient that came through would see her and have the baby like
Oh my
straddled,
gosh.
on her chest, and they'd
Yeah,
be
right.
like, "He's making you work?" And I was like, "Wait, wait, 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 wait." I was like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
I told her to stay home. She
yeah.
refused, so I'm not a slave driver. Like, I promise. Like,
Oh
this
my
was
gosh.
this was
That's her
her
choice.
decision."
I tried to keep her out, as a matter of fact. I tried to keep her
I
away.
did. I tried hard.
All right. So now that you are where you are today, what kind of freedoms, whether they're personal or financial or however you want to go with it, what kind of freedoms do you get to enjoy now that you've opened up your own practice?
Well, first off, just like being able to practice dentistry the way that I want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without, regional managers breathing down your neck. You need to produce, 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 all that noise that you have working in associateships. Like, I have the freedom to like express what I call dentistry my art. I mean, I get to express it exactly how I want to and create the experience that I want. I also like, the flexibility of the schedule. Like, if we need to take some time off, if we need to leave early, if we need to, whatever, we have the freedom to do that. If the girls are sick, my wife can go home and take care of them, and I can hold it down, and she's working remotely. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So having that freedom, I feel like is what's keeping me in the game, because you don't have that when you're an associate. You
No.
essentially don't have freedom. I mean, there's some rare instances where you might have a little sprinkle of freedom here, but
Mm-hmm.
the true freedom comes from ownership. And I go around and speak at a lot of like dental schools, colleges, high
Mm-hmm.
schools, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them like, you know, to me, and I'm always real. I don't ever like, you know, sugarcoat anything. And I told them, I was like, at this day and age in the game of dentistry, I don't feel like it's worth it unless you own your own practice. Because when you work as an associate, and I tell them too, like work as an associate for like a year or two,
Yeah,
get your
I agree
skills,
with
get your
that.
speed up,
Mm-hmm.
get your confidence up, but then break off and do your own thing, because these corporations will literally suck the life out of you and make you hate dentistry. And I've been there. And I was upset about that because I was like, I love dentistry. Like this is what I pop up every day for this stuff. And you guys have made me hate it because of the way that they structure everything. It's no longer fun. Like it's work.
If I'm not
And what I'm
mistaken, and
yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but I don't want to lose this part. And this is not meant to go down a rabbit hole on this, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands and knows what I know. You had a situation where you had to go on medical leave with the spinal stuff, with the back stuff, right? And
Mhm.
at a corporate dental shop. And then when you came back, they were more or less like, there's no more home for you, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then my oldest was actually born like right after the surgery. Like I was still on a walker whenever she
Mm-hmm.
was born. So it was a lot going on. Like I just was just one, because even when I was in the hospital, like there was doubts that I'd be able to practice dentistry
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as long or even at all, you know what I mean? Because of the nature of the injury. But I was like, no, forget that. Like I've spent my whole life preparing for this. Like if I gotta be in here, with a whole body brace, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it just goes to show you that these companies don't really care about you as a person. You're a number. Because like when I got let go from that job, there was somebody already in there before the dust settled. You know what I mean? So like they really don't care about you. And when you have ownership and we got the right people around you, everybody cares for each other. And that's what makes it worthwhile. You know what I mean? Because all my staff, they can go down the street and get more money. They can go
Mm-hmm.
get more benefits, all this other kind of stuff. But they know that the way that I treat them is different from anywhere. Because I have a laid back demeanor. I joke around a lot. I'm dancing to the music, singing
Yep.
along,
Yep.
all kind
Yep.
of stuff. Like I'm not your typical dentist. And I think that they know that and they appreciate that because they've all been in the game for some years. And they see how these dentists treat people, throwing instruments, yelling, all this other kind of stuff. And to me, it doesn't take all that. Like if you just respect people as a person, as an individual, instead of as a staff, then they're gonna pour into what you got going on. They're gonna buy into the vision. They're gonna be locked in. You know what I mean? So that goes back to the psychological thing of dealing with people.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And oftentimes, again, you're listening to podcasts or reading books or different things, and they say, "Oh, it's all begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind." And I'm not anti that, but I'm also a little bit more like most people. Like if I asked you, "Hey, what are you going to do if you win this $1 billion lottery?" You already know what the end looks like. It's going to be private jets and yachts and islands somewhere, and that's the end in mind. But you don't know the first step or the thing to focus on first. That's where most people struggle, right? I know I want to have a six pack and I want to have whatever fitness wise, yada yada yada, and then but I don't really know what the first step to take is, or do I? And I just that's a big first step, and I don't really know what to do with that investment of my time and my energy and yada yada yada. So all that to say, if somebody wants to replicate your success, because I think most folks are going to go, ooh, I'd love to have a startup and be at $1 million or $1 million plus at the end of that 12-month mark, heading into my finishing up my first year. What would you say they should focus on first if they want to replicate your success?
I would say, and this probably sounds crazy, but don't begin with the end in mind. Begin with right now in mind. Because it goes back to one of my favorite scriptures is don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have enough trouble of its own. So I just kind of use that mentality, and I stay present and focused on the task that's immediately ahead of me. And I know if I win the day, if I win each appointment, win each interaction, every treatment, then that's just those little small steps that'll ultimately get you to that end that you're thinking of. Like I do have a goal. I know where I want to end up and things like that, but I don't focus on that because then to me, it kind of rushes the process. And to be successful, you got to like enjoy the process. You got to enjoy the grind. Like you got to love this. Because if you don't, it'll chew you up and spit you out. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I look at it. Just stay present, stay focused on where you're at, and always just maintaining that gratitude. Because if you're grateful for what you have, then you already open yourself up to receive more.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So then, final thought, if we just go forward a little bit, we're talking again, let's say 1 year from now, what does this next year of growth look like for you? Or what does the next level look like for you if we get ahead a year from now?
I would say by then we'll have all our ops built out.
All right.
We'll have a couple of hygienists, maybe another assistant, and then we're really gonna be rocking. And I'm excited for that because we're already doing well with just 3 chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, we got room for 3 more. So I'm just like, man, it's about to get crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited. And what I'm excited about too is like to be able to, be blessed to be a blessing to others. So that's why I'm excited for the future success that's coming, because that'll put me in a situation where I can do more for the community, more for my family and my friends and things like that. Cause that's what I started out. Like, I was like, I want to make it somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to give back, what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. Because the reason I'm here is because of the people that poured into me in my early days, you know what I mean? So I passed that forward. I got students coming in shadowing me all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dentists that don't even allow that anymore. And I feel like that's insane, because that's how you truly figure out if you like the profession or not, because it all sounds good when you see all these Instagram dentists jumping out of private jets and, got the Rolls Royce stars on the ceiling and all this other kind of stuff and Rolex watches and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that all looks great, but they didn't tell you what they had to go through to get there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that you just gotta just stay focused, really.
All right. So if people want to follow along, where can we find you? Instagram, just easy to search Plaque Panther.
Yeah, Instagram, Plaque Panther. That's like my main page, and then the business page is Plaque Panther Dentistry.
Okay. And anywhere else we can find you? And you're on Facebook, same stuff, same handles.
Yeah, I think Facebook you got to search like Dr. Devin Harris DDS.
Okay.
It wouldn't let me change my name to Plaque Panther for some reason, but
they get weird about it. They get weird about it. I had somebody whose last name was Nice, like NICE, and they wouldn't let the Dr. Nice. It wasn't Nice, but it was something like that. It was like it was a name that you wouldn't think. You're like, this isn't real, and it was their real name, and then Facebook was like, no, not gonna happen.
Crazy.
Well, thank you, my man.
Yeah,
I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem. People, the people out here watching or whatever, thinking about going down the startup journey, like y'all can hit me up. Like, hit me up on Instagram, and I'll keep it real with you. I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between. Like, I ain't got nothing to hide. What you see is what you get.
All right. Well, thank you again, man. I love it. That's why you're here, because I want to have an honest conversation with you to let people know, hey, this is what's really going on. It's the end of the year. If anybody's listening to this, it'll date the podcast, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take a second to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, nothing but well wishes and all the great stuff that's coming your way for you and your fam. Are you guys going to keep growing that family of yours, or are you guys stopping?
Yeah,
remains to be seen.
2 more.
Whoa, my
We
goodness.
want to have 2 more.
So maybe in a year from now, you also have another little one on the way? Hats off to you. Hats off to you, my man. You're a better guy than I am, because there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for having me. And again, I'm forever grateful for all your help. I couldn't have done this without you. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. Like, I really mean that. And I hope that you continue to be successful. And I wish blessings on you and your family.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to y'all as well. And we're going to keep in touch. Like now I feel like we're friends.
Yes, because we are. All right, man. Take care, Doc.